raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
Rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirt bags off these trees.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Thunder breaks, the ground is shaking from the weight. Voices crying in the night, but freedom burns a steady light. We hold the line, we won't let go. Through every trial, the truth will show. This is your daily dose. Open your eyes, see through the smoke, see through the lies. Rise from the silence, hear freedom's call. One voice, one people, united we stand tall.
Hearts awaken, chains undone. A new day breaks, the dawn has come. Through every battle, through the flame, our faith in God remains the same. The storm may rage, the night may fall, but hope will answer stronger than all.
This is your daily dose. Courage and fire, lifting the weak, lifting us higher. Not by the sword, but the truth we recall. Where we go, we've seen the darkness try to reign. We felt the sorrow, we've known the pain. But every trial has forged the steel. In God we trust, His plan is real.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. I hope everybody is doing well out there and having a fantastic start of their week. And it is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026, and we are little over a month away from the 250th anniversary, the birthday of the United States of America on July 4th, 2026. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. But one thing that you have to understand is that this is very symbolic, and that this is what I think everything is going to begin to kick off. Everything's going to begin to happen. We're going to start seeing little things being set up along the way throughout the next month. I mean, the timing of D&I Tulsi Gabbard leaving on June 30th, just right before that time frame, I think is just not a coincidence. I think we're going to see some D-class. I think we're going to see a lot of shit coming down this pipe, and the proverbial fan is going to get hit with that shit. So it's going to be amazing. And so there is definitely panic in DC, whether it's COVID-19 origins, whether it's 2020 voter fraud, whether it is Donald Trump's war on the Senate, on the rhinos, on the neocons, whether it's the Democrats and the exile out of Congress that's happening, and the redistricting and the various different executive orders that are coming out. And I mean, it's all happening. People just aren't paying attention. You gotta put you gotta watch the little dominoes, little things at a time. They begin to build up that momentum. But man, hope you guys are having a great one. As a reminder for this week, tomorrow is the last show for the Daily Dose this week. Thursday and Friday, I will be on vacation with my family. But there will be shows on the channel, so please do watch. And there will be all the regular other scheduled shows will still be playing. I believe Jeff is coming on Friday with Conversations on the Fringe. So you'll have that. You'll have the Naturally Inspired podcast, and then we'll have some live streams going on as well. But they will be older shows. It'll be Fringe Binge and that type of stuff. Tomorrow night, the live Q&A. So live Q&A with myself tomorrow night. And so hopefully you guys can join after the show. That is for our cup of coffee subscribers. That's right, $5.99 a month and a cup of coffee, and you get into those live Q&As. So hopefully I get to see a lot of you guys there. We're going to get about 50, 60 people in there. So, it's funny. It doesn't jump up much when an alpha gets in there. I'm just joking. I'm joking. Okay, so live Q&A, covered that. What else have we got? Man, there's a shitstorm going on today. Lots of talk about Trump and Israel and Netanyahu. Lots of talk about Iran, what's going on in Iran. Trump ordered the military to hit a Iranian vessel. Iran hit back. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Bill Pulte is coming in as a new DNI. I did not guess that one, but I have a few ideas why. And we'll take a look into that here in a little bit. We got, what else we got? We got a lot of Marco Rubio, lots of Marco Rubio, and a few other things. We got some talk on COVID-19, some talk on China, lots of things happening right now. It was a good news day. Will you have the Sunday night show with Alpha? Alpha probably will still do Q after hours on Sunday. I believe he's getting, I don't know who he's getting. I don't want to say a name and you guys expect it and it doesn't happen. But I know he's looking to get someone to come on with him for Sunday for Q after hours. So keep that in mind. There will be a Q after hours on Sunday. But I won't be there. But give them love when I'm in my absence. The White House posted this yesterday. I must have missed it, but it was a good one. And it was basically very, very simple. To those negatively chirping, quiet. Oh, I didn't pull up the video. To those negatively chirping, quiet. Shh. That's it. And, got to look at the kind of like what they've been posting. CTO at the DOW posted trust the plan. Then you have the White House posting trust Trump. And then you have the White House again posting to those negatively chirping, quiet. It'll all work out well in the end. It always does. In other words, trust what is happening. That this might seem like chaos, but it's not. It's a system of re-optimizing self, reorganizing self. You know, one of the greatest life lessons I learned, and people are like, I didn't come here for life lessons, Josh. I came here for the fucking news. Well, we'll get into the news here in a minute, but this life lesson is a good one. I live within my mind, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm continuously observing and reflecting and just introspecting all of this stuff inside my mind. And one of the things that I've always tried to understand is chaos, randomness and chaos. It never really made sense to me because I could look at the random distribution of air molecules within a space and say, but that's not random. That every single air molecule has a trajectory that's based upon the interactions that happen prior to that. The reason we call it random is because it's an incalculable number. Well, that doesn't make it random. That just makes it kind of very, very difficult to calculate and statistically and probabilistically, right? But one of the things I realize is that we go through cycles in life, and these cycles go through various different points of optimization. That we enter a cycle in age, and we move up to a certain level and degree, and then we begin to decline. And in that point of decline, we realize that, hey, we have to change things because this thing has just topped off. And so we begin to reorganize things, and our life becomes a little chaotic during that point in time. But then once everything is set in place and in motion, everything comes back together, but it comes back together at a whole new level. In other words, is that when a system reorganizes or when a system optimizes to a certain level or the max level that it can be at within this current state structure, it goes through a point of chaos to reorganize itself for the next level of optimization. It's true. Prove me wrong. But it's a life lesson that I've learned. So when we look at the world right now, when we look at the United States right now, high gas prices, high food, for all this stuff, right? Go back to that post and understand what they're saying. To those negatively chirping, quiet. It'll all work out in the end. It always does. In other words, the chaos that you are seeing right now is simply the system reorganizing itself to a higher state of optimization. That's America first. That is the Great Awakening. That is the Trump world order. That is a multipolar world framework. That is a sovereign wealth fund. That is the introduction of technological innovation that's going to advance us 500 years in less than 20 years. That is what it takes. It takes this level of chaos to do what needs to be done. Yeah, that actually turned out pretty good. I was worried. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go down this road. President Trump's blockade just resulted in an Iranian tanker getting blasted by U.S. forces in the Arabian Gulf while it tried getting into Iran. It appears that they fired Hellfire missiles straight into the engine room. In retaliation, what are we seeing? The IRGC statement for tonight's Gulf attacks. In its own account, the IRGC says it started late last night when the U.S. military hit the Iranian oil tanker near the Strait of Hormuz with a Hellfire missile, damaging its engine rooms. Late last night, the invading U.S. military targeted an Iranian oil tanker near the Strait of Hormuz with a Hellfire missile, damaging the engine room. In response to this aggression in violation of the regulations of the Strait of Hormuz, the IRGC targeted an enemy Zionist American ship, the Panayaya, with missiles. In a renewed aggression, the American enemy also targeted the IRGC communications in Qasem Island. In response to this aggression, the airbase and its helicopters base stationed in one of the countries in a region, Kuwait, as well as a headquarters in the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, were subjected to an attack by missiles and drones of the IRGC's aerospace force. We warned previously that in the event of aggression, the response would be different and harsher, and we have acted accordingly. These responses should serve a lesson. We affirm that undermining the security of the Strait of Hormuz will cost the invading U.S. military heavy price. And this comes from the IRGC. Okay. So, there's a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. An Iranian ship tried to get through. The U.S. military fired a Hellfire, disabling the ship into its engine room. Iran immediately retaliated by striking a U.S. flagged vessel. The United States then retaliated by taking out a satellite depot in Qasem Island. Iran then retaliated by hitting Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, and various different air bases and naval bases of the United States Navy. There has been nothing about this since. Trump has been silent. Is all hell about to break loose? Now, put yourself into the military strategic mindset, which we're going to do after the show. By the way, after the show, DEFCON 0 on Badlands Media. That's the one thing I forgot earlier. DEFCON 0 on Badlands Media. We're going to talk a lot about this. Put yourself into the military mindset. Tit for tat. The United States has not responded to the strikes within Kuwait, Bahrain, and UAE. What does that mean? Well, understand that the United States isn't going to tit for tat retaliate. The United States already has a battle-hardened plan ready for the next moves. In other words, they knew that there was a probability that when they strike an Iranian-flagged vessel going through the Straits of Hormuz, that Iran would think that they're big and tough and retaliate. They did. In the midst of that, military planners already have a strategy to counter that. Remember, over the last 2 months, we have mapped all of their strategic missile and drone launch platforms, and we've mapped out all of their underground facilities and tunnels. Very, very important. We know that the IRGC operates on a decentralized framework. What does that mean? That basically you have underground military complexes all spread throughout Iran and northern Syria. These underground military complexes basically have a lead commander with battle plans for what happens next if they get a signal. So the signal comes in and they go out to, let's say that it's a signal comes in and it's Alpha 1-4B2. They go to Alpha 1-4B2 and right there is the targeting sequence and they just hit enter and that's it. That's how the IRGC is operating here. And it's actually very strategic. But the United States going into this realized this early on and started mapping out a lot of this on the level of strategy, which means that in order to counteract the Iranian IRGC and military and their strategic positioning, that you would have to have massive bunker busters that would have to drop very, very far below into the mountainous terrain, which is very difficult to do, as well as you would have to do some type of decapitation level event. You would have to find the heads of the IRGC that are sending the commands out, and you would have to take them out and ensure that they don't have some type of dead man switch. If this commander gets killed, then you target this, this, and this, and this, as well as have your anti-missile defense systems up. And so there's a lot of contingencies to look at on how this all unfolds. My guess is there's probably B-2s in the air. That's my guess. Scavino the other day, the White House the other day, Trump the other day, B-2s. I'm telling you, I think that there's some stealth in the air. Probably not going to happen our nighttime. It's daytime in Iran. Probably going to happen tomorrow night in Iran. So 24 hours from now, I think that we'll probably see some bombs dropped deep within Iran that's going to decimate a lot of the IRGC and the command structure. Now, if you just go back a few days, this makes a lot of sense because this is what we said. Is that when we look at Russia and Ukraine, there is a certain red line that Putin won't cross unless Ukraine does one thing, and then he will take out Zelensky. Well, the same thing with Trump and Iran is Trump understands that the IRGC is primarily in control of Iran, and the civilian leadership has very, very little control. And Trump wants to really kind of reverse that. The regime change isn't necessarily about the leadership. It was about disconnecting the theocratic levels of control and the IRGC control factors that filled up after the vacuum with a civilian component government that is for the people of Iran. Now, in order to do that, you have to eliminate the rest of the hardliner factions of the IRGC. How is that going to happen? That's going to happen with a massive military strike, anything like you've ever seen before, potentially even special forces on the ground into these deep underground military complexes. Is Trump willing to go that far? I think so. I think that he wants this done. I think that he wants this settled. And I think that this potentially could prompt that level of retaliation. And you got to remember, in the midst of all of that, what happens first? What happens first is absolute complete decimation of Iranians' military infrastructure. How does that operate? You start to take out oil pipelines. You start to take out power distribution centers, so electricity, dams. You start to take out major highway systems and roads, and you start to take out so water, transportation, and electricity. Water, transportation, and electricity. Those would be the first few things hit, because lots of military assets would then be allocated to go out there and resolve the public parts of all of that and get things back operational. And when that's happening, that's when you strike that deeper part and you start to take off the head of the snake and you hit the command and control centers and you take out that hardliner faction that has rose up. And then that's when you begin to put the special forces on the ground and you go in and you storm the deep underground military complexes after you hit them with bunker buster bombs. So we potentially could see endgame type scenario with Iran. Now, I know there has been a lot of talk online. Larry Johnson, former CIA guy, never former CIA, on Mario Newfall talking about, oh, Iran, they got a nuke from North Korea and they're going to test it and they're going to show America their might, so they just leave us alone. Bullshit. There's a lot of talk about Iran has a nuke. Iran has a nuke. Iran does not have a fucking nuke. You want to know why Iran doesn't have a nuke? Because Donald Trump destroyed their nuclear ambitions back in 2019 in northern Syria by bombing the shit with B-2 bombers, the deep underground military complexes that were refining uranium to 90% to build their nuclear weapons. We know this. Next, the reason they don't have a nuclear weapon is strategic. It would have already been played. In the midst of all of this, Iran, with anticipation that the United States and Israel were about to go to war with them and strike them, Iran would have done a nuclear test of a weapon to prove that they had the technology, because that changes the game. None of this would have ever have happened if they had that nuclear weapon already. So Larry Johnson over the CIA doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, at least in my opinion. Now, if they do come out and they test a nuclear weapon, well, it's going to be interesting, because there's been a lot of flights from China flying into Iran. Right? So yesterday we talked about this phone call with Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, and I called this one. I said it on True Social. I said, I bet Donald Trump's going to call Netanyahu and he's going to chew his ass out. Well, we're finding out that this is highly confirmed. So Channel 13, the Trump-Netanyahu call over Lebanon, was one of the most tense conversations the two have had since Trump returned to office. Jerusalem officials are openly acknowledge a serious crisis between the leaders. Netanyahu's team spent today arguing. He established a new equation. Israel can operate in Beirut as long as Hezbollah stays out of northern cities. Israel officials are quick to note that the version coming from the prime minister's office. In practice, they say Trump is still the one making and approving the most significant decisions, including stopping the cabinet-approved Lebanon operation that was already cleared and ready to go. Netanyahu is proving one reality. Washington is living in another. So this is so important. This was discussed on Channel 13 in Israel. But this is what I want you to see. Listen to what it says right here. In practice, they say Trump is still the one making and approving the most significant decisions, including stopping a cabinet-approved Lebanon operation that was already cleared and ready to go. Donald Trump is the one stopping Israel from doing what Israel's Knesset already approved. He's the one making the decisions, not Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, did the phone call actually happen? Yes. Mark Levin came out. The leak in Axios was a violation of federal law and provided support to the Iranian regime and Hezbollah proxy. In other words, Mark Levin is coming out and confirming that the call actually happened. I find that really interesting. So there's basically a backstory to all of the whole thing that happened last night with Netanyahu and Trump. They secretly agreed agreed the DEA evacuation warning was coordinated pressure move, a threat with no strike behind it. Washington then concluded Netanyahu was turning the agreed bluff into a real operation, moved to stop it, and got into a heated call with the prime minister. Netanyahu then posted publicly that Beirut was still on the table, which angered Trump to trigger the second call. In short, they agreed on a bluff, fell out over whether to make it real, and then aired the gap between them on social media while Iran was threatening direct war and oil was spiking. Now, this is coming from Channel 12. My thoughts on this: Israel is doing what Israel always does. They're going out there, they're confirming their strikes. They want to go into southern Lebanon. They want to go into northern Lebanon. They want to take out Beirut. If you go into the greater Israel theory, they control much of Lebanon is what they're trying to do. As well as the rich amount of resources, rare earth minerals and metals. China has a big position within Lebanon, and I think that Israel is seeking to undermine a lot of that, or at least control that. And then there's the elimination of Hezbollah. Donald Trump yesterday said that I called up Hezbollah. I talked to them. They're going to stop. So, Benjamin Netanyahu, shut the fuck up, go away. You'd be in jail if it wasn't for me. I think that's so critically important, because the one thing that this leaked call, by the way, I don't think it was a White House whistleblower who leaked this call. Understand that. I don't think the idea that this call was leaked from somebody in the White House was actually leaked. The Trump administration leaks what they want to leak. Think about this for optics. Psychological conditioning or psychological positioning. Trump has this call with Benjamin Netanyahu, chews his freaking ass, demands Netanyahu stop what he's doing, put his military down, and pull back. And Netanyahu does exactly that. That is the perfect segue to operate. Leak that information out to the public media. Have people like Mark Levin go out there and validate the story as real and legitimate. Have Channel 13 talking all about it in Israel. Have mainstream media talking about it here in the United States of America. Have people like me and other podcasters talking about it. But guess who's not talking about it? Guess who's not talking about it? Now go back to the White House post. To those negatively chirping, quiet. It'll all work out in the end. It always does. Now, why is that important? Because guess who's not talking about it? Joe Kent, Meg Kelly, Tucker Carlson. Now, I don't hate these people like Alpha does. I think that there's something more going on here. But what it does is it invalidates their whole theoretical model that Netanyahu is some puppet master behind Donald Trump. It's just not the case. And when you start to see the greater picture is that Netanyahu has large ambitions. He wants Israel to become a regional superpower and a global superpower. And the only way to do that is to control massive amounts of energy and rare earth minerals and metals, and then the accessibility to those. And so Netanyahu is seeing an opportunity within the U.S.'s force over Iran to take advantage of this, to position Israel to be a global superpower. Donald Trump knows this, doesn't want that to happen, and is slapping him down. And Netanyahu has been slapped down at every time. Now, here's my guess. By this weekend, Netanyahu is going to bomb Beirut. Listen to me. By this weekend, Netanyahu, Israel, will bomb Beirut. Want to bet on it? Oh, yeah. And watch what happens after. We are in the beginning of the end of Save Israel for Last. What does it look like? I don't know. But we're about to see. What's Marco Rubio say? And his wording here is very interesting.
The Lebanese government and the Israeli government could do a peace deal tomorrow. Israel has no territorial claims in Lebanon. And Hezbollah is in particular. In fact, Hezbollah has called for the overthrow of the current Lebanese government. The impediment in Lebanon is the fact that Hezbollah has embedded itself into that country. The Lebanese government and the Israeli government could do a peace deal tomorrow.
Let's do it again.
Israel has no territorial claims in Lebanon.
Israel has no territorial claims in Lebanon. Why did he say that? Why did Marco Rubio say that Israel has no territorial claims in Lebanon? Because this goes back to expanding Israel's territory, the Greater Israel theory. Israel believes they have territorial claim. That's the Greater Israel theory. Interesting to watch it all unfold. Oh, this was good. Actually, we're going to do a quick segue. This is pretty good, though. You're going to like this one. You know, I didn't go grab the Q post for this one. I just didn't think it was relevant. But this is a fun one. Let me do this real quick. We're going to run this quick. Yeah, where is everybody tonight? Usually we have twice as much people. All right. I'm going to run this real quick on Rumble, and then we're going to get into the next parts of the news, okay? All right, parents, real talk for a second. America's about to hit a huge milestone. We're coming up on America's 250th birthday, 250 years of freedom, grit, sacrifice, and the greatest experiment in self-government the world has ever seen. This is the perfect moment to help your kids understand why this country matters, not just fireworks and hot dogs, but the story behind it all. There's a free guide called The Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday, and it's honestly a great way to introduce your kids to how America began, who the founding fathers were, what they risked, and why their ideas they fought for still matter today. This guide sends kids back to the moment when brave men signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing full well they were risking their lives for freedom. It breaks it all down in a way kids can actually understand and enjoy without watering it down or turning it into boring schoolwork. If you care about raising kids who know where this country came from and why it's worth preserving, this is something you'll want to grab. And the best part, it's completely free with a special offer. You just need to pay the $2 for shipping and processing. Just head to freeusabirthday.com. That's freeusabirthday.com. And the Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday is yours for your kids today. America's story matters. Make sure the next generation knows it. And people sometimes ask me, Josh, why do you read that ad so damn fast? There's a little timer that comes up on Rumble when you read the ad for Rumble. And I always try to get under a minute. That was 1 minute and 2 seconds on that one, but I always try to get under a minute. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, no, never mind. You ever thought about something when you're reading? Like you're reading one thing and then your mind is completely thinking another. That I just had that moment. But then I forgot what I was thinking about because I thought it was important. I was going to bring it up. Anyways. President Trump on the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner. Oh, that's what it was. Oh, it wasn't important for you. It was important for me. I had to make a mental note. He says the sign of... Oh, I love this. This is good. This is good. Okay, we're going to pull this up. Trump said in this post right here, the sign of strength and fortitude. It was just announced at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which violently ended and abruptly on April 25th, will be rescheduled for July 24th. This announcement is a very good thing that we cannot allow lunatics to change our way of life or even scheduling. I was asked to be there and speak by Weijia Jiang, president of the White House Correspondents Association, and have accepted. I don't know whether or not I will give the same rather nasty statements, at least as it concerns certain people, but we will soon find out. In any event, it will be a hot ticket. Interestingly, it'll be located at the Waldorf Astoria on Pennsylvania Avenue, a building and ballroom that I built, President Donald J. Trump. The idea that he just said it's going to be a hot ticket. July 24th, hot ticket. That's interesting because one delta that I know on July 25th, the day after, is August is going to be an incredibly hot month. I don't know. Maybe a little signaling there by Trump, telling us that he's going to have a lot to talk about as this begins to roll out. Bill Pulte, the trust fund baby turned Twitter money giver, is going to be your new director of national intelligence. But before you laugh like I did when I heard it, let's dive into it a little bit. Tulsi Gabbard's replacement at the the Office of the Director of National Intelligence will be Bill Pulte, the Director of Federal Housing and Finance Agency. Pulte has gone after Trump's rivals in the past, including Senator Adam Schiff and Letitia James. He'll take over at the end of the month as Tulsi steps away for her husband who is battling bone cancer. So Trump put out today, I am appointing the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency and chairman of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, William Pulte, to serve as acting director of national intelligence. William has deep experience managing the most sensitive matters in America, the safety and soundness of the markets, and over $10 trillion at Fannie and Freddie Mac, a substantial increase from where it was just 12 months ago. During this period, he will remain director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency and chairman of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Congratulations, Director Pulte. What do you guys think? Trust fund, baby? SG Anon posted this. I don't really go out too much with SG Anon. I've been on a few shows with him back in the day, but I found this good. I think he's got something here. He goes, remember all the mortgage fraud being leveraged against we the people, the purposes of manipulating real estate and banking markets, laundering trillions back to the Federal Reserve, this while simultaneously inflating the U.S. national debt and imperiling U.S. national security? Who better to usher under the umbrella of national intelligence than the very guy who oversees the agency that enforces housing finance laws? If mortgage fraud is funding illegal migration, trafficking into the U.S., does it become a threat to national security? If that illegal migration is later revealed to have been cover for a foreign, militarized, well-equipped fighting force to invade and attack the American homeland, does every civilian upstream lever originally involved in that migration then become legitimate suspects in investigations? I think so. And I didn't agree with all of it, but I did agree with that. Now, also, when you want them to take a massive organization and reduce its size by 75%, but yet keep it effective and efficient, what do? You put a CEO in the spot, Bill Pulte. But there's something else about Bill Pulte that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to, fabulous vibes. And Josh looks so hot. I look so hot. Look at me. Josh Suave. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't get that often. I'm gonna bring up my perspective on what I think Trump is doing with Bill Pulte. And I'm gonna give you the honest to God game theory perspective. But let's listen to what Bannon says first, because I think Bannon's right here as well.
I would say that is a middle finger to the Republican members in the Senate. It is a FU to the deep state. And I think it's a wake-up call to the White House staff. One thing you say about Bill Pulte, he's a man of action. President Trump wants action today. I would say
it was definitely a big FU to Senate Republicans. Neocons to Tom Cotton, who was expecting that position. Right? So, Pulte as well. In Anon posted this earlier. I want to pull this up. Pulte, December 12th, 2024, an O into a Q. Then you have December 12th, 2018. So on the Delta, December 12th, 2018, posted by Pulte, December 12th, 2024. Confirmed O made into a Q, more to find over time. Happy hunting. Pulte Q. Think about that. But here's my thoughts on this. Trump also did something today. Actually, this is relevant. This is relevant to the conversation. President Trump signs an executive order today to cut off illegal aliens from the banking system. This is big. So he says, and this is from Wall Street Math. Illegal immigrants and foreign fraudsters steal billions every year from the American taxpayers. Part of my administration's historic effort to end fraud and reverse mass illegal immigration, I recently signed a powerful new executive order which will be led by the Treasury Department to stop banks, credit cards, and financial institutions from being used to facilitate human smuggling, drug trafficking, illegal immigration, and criminal cartels who orchestrate these activities. Access to our national finance system must be limited to those who have a legal right to be here and who are engaged in lawful and legitimate commerce. Bank accounts being used to enable illegal immigration or to store the welfare received by illegal aliens will be shut down. So I'm going to say this one again. Bank accounts being used to enable illegal illegal immigration. This is very important. This is an executive order. They will be shut down. We're going to come back to that in a second. The funds will ultimately face impoundment and seizure so they can be returned to taxpayers. It is not ludicrous, but profoundly dangerous that any illegal alien can simply present a blue state driver's license or a Biden border document and have unrestricted access to the U.S. financial system. This also sends a clear message to the anti-ICE rioters that your violent disruptions are only strengthening our resolve. My executive order will also allow us to stop billions in leaving our country in a matter of criminal activity. It has been said this measure we are taking is the most effective means of reversing Biden's border invasion. Oh, this is huge. Okay. A few different things. We're talking about Bill Pulte, housing and finance. SGAnon makes the connection. They're like, hey, we have a lot of criminality in the context of national security. Think about NGOs, NPOs, United Nations, various organizations, private companies that are funding mass civil unrest, the leftist agendas. They are funding the Democrats through proxy, through redistributed taxpayer dollars. This is a national security concern, right? Then on the same day he appoints Bill Pulte, he puts out this executive order. What does it say? Bank accounts being used to enable illegal immigration, or, because you got to go back to the beginning, right? This is how executive orders work. Stop banks, credit cards, and financial institutions from being used to facilitate human smuggling, drug trafficking, illegal immigration, and the criminal cartels who orchestrate these activities. Bank accounts being used to enable this or to store welfare received by illegal aliens will be shut down. Now, welfare by illegal aliens. Remember this, by the way. Remember when we said citizens in name only? Remember the amount of people that are on SNAP benefits, welfare, receiving Medicaid, Medicare, employees that didn't exist in the government that had bank accounts, that there's no employee or no citizen, the benefits are being spent. There's a bank account, but there's no person. This is a deeper trench of national security. Now, why Bill Pulte? Number one is because Bill Pulte brings in to the Director of National Intelligence a level of housing finance. Act Blue under investigation. One of the head DPs over at Act Blue took over $60 million in home loans off of one home worth only $300,000. That's illegal. That's mortgage fraud. How did that happen? Because the fucking banks were involved. If the banks were involved, what was really going on there? Well, that was a payback and a kickback from the various wealthy billionaires in the global elite structure who were basically paying these people to keep the Democrats in power and control and steal elections. This is a very, very big criminal network and cartel. But here's the main reason why Bill Pulte's involved in this. Because with Bill Pulte as your Director of National Intelligence, you're actually going to have whoever Trump wants as your Director of National Intelligence. What do I mean by that? That Bill Pulte owes everything that he has right now to Donald Trump. He is a very, very loyal person to Donald Trump. As in, he's not going to lie to Donald Trump. He's not going to cross Donald Trump. He's not going to piss Donald Trump off. He's not a wild card. He's a variable that Trump plays. You remember, you have on the National Security Council and at DNI, Devin Nunes, that is in a senior advisory role at ODNI. In other words, Bill Pulte is simply going to be taking orders from Devin Nunes of what to declass, of where to look, what to shut down, of who to refer for criminal indictment. Right now, you have the investigations already started. The reports are about to flow out. D-class is about to happen. Pulte comes in. Criminal referrals get sent. More reports come out. More D-class. But instead, you have Devin Nunes pointing the way for all of this. Bill Pulte is a controllable variable by Donald Trump. That's why he's going in the Director of National Intelligence. Because that means that Donald Trump has an inside man directly inside who has been nothing but loyal to him. That's right. That's right. Don Kyle Donaldson. He's a placeholder for whoever Donald Trump wants to actually run ODNI. Man, we're kicking ass tonight. I thought this show was going to take forever. because there was a lot of news, but we're ripping through it, which is good. We're ripping through it. And they don't love me. They don't love me anymore. What the hell? All right, we'll come back to them. Senator Jackie Rosen asking questions to Marco Rubio today. This is freaking classic. I love this. Listen to this.
Remind the American people that as the Secretary of State, your main duty as America's chief diplomat is to maintain our relations with foreign nations. This is why I was shocked to see that you were at a party with President Trump in Miami instead of accompanying Vice President Vance to Pakistan for negotiations.
What party was I at? I was at a party?
It's publicly reported, and there's photos there.
But what party? No, but you're going to say that. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to answer that question because that's an absurd statement. I was not at a party.
Finish my paragraph, he can answer.
People are going to slander me. I'm going to answer
Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, both of whom were never confirmed by this body to be America's diplomats, accompanied the vice president in the negotiations. Even Iran's foreign minister was not there, yet was there, and you were not. I just feel that's embarrassing for us, and it's embarrassing for you. So, Mr. Secretary, Congress represents the American people. We have the power to confirm who represents America abroad. We confirmed you to be our Secretary of State. We confirmed you to be in the negotiations that are happening. And it's just unthinkable to me that you are missing high-stakes negotiations or that you're not involved. It's sad.
Senator Rosen, your
Your
time's up.
Okay, so let me
Secretary Rubio.
You're 100% inaccurate and 100% wrong. Here's why. Number one, the Vice President of the United States was there, and he wasn't confirmed by us, and he was elected by the American people. Okay? He is the second in line to the presidency of the United States. He was present. Mr. Witkoff is the president's envoy for negotiation for peace deals. Mr. Kushner is a private citizen that serves as an advisor on these functions. They were the team that we sent to Pakistan. I was not at a party. Where I was is next to the president. Because in the midst of those negotiations, I was in communications with them. And in fact, I think there is media reporting from that evening on how on multiple occasions I went into a back room, I came back out and spoke to the president and was constantly updating him. On that evening, I spoke to Mr. Kushner and our negotiating team and Mr. Witkoff on at least 6 occasions, including twice on a secure line from the phone they had access to over there. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're just
Senator
making
Rosen,
stuff up.
he has the floor.
I know your staff wrote up this cute statement for your TikTok video, but it's not true, and it's not real.
I love Marco Rubio. In other words, the Democrats are making shit up. Now, I've been notified. Was there something going on Rumble? Was there something going on in Rumble chat? I missed it. So if there's still a problem on Rumble chat, let me know. I'm just catching... All right, so we did get them moderated. Okay. Thank you for moderating that, guys. Appreciate it. You can ensure that, people who use that type of language can go fuck themselves. There's a lot of haters out there, and anybody behind a phone or a computer can be a keyboard warrior. Like, oh my God, I just want to say obscenities. Screw off, dude. Nope, I'm back. I lost reception. Marco Rubio, though, he's been the biggest surprise in the last Trump administration. I love what he's doing. I love what he says here. This is a shorter clip. This is only 16 seconds.
I also remind everybody the United States government is not a charity. We are not here to play social worker. We are here to win. We are here to win on behalf of the American people and on behalf of the national interest, to win for our country, to win for the people of America, to win for the things that are important for our future, and that's what we exist to do. I also remind everybody the United States...
That's right. The United States of America is not a charity. I want to remind everybody the United States of the government is not a charity. We are not here to play social work. We are here to win. I love that. I mean, I don't think there's anything more America first than that. Specifically, look, I don't want to fund social. Here's a great perspective for everybody out there in local and state and federal governments. If you need more social programs, you failed. Like, If you need more social programs to support your people, you need to allocate more taxpayer dollars to support the people that are, not doing as well in life, and they need food. They're hungry. That they're not making much money. Then your country failed. Think about that. If you have to spend more taxpayer money allocated towards social welfare and social programs, your country failed. Your country is not giving the opportunities for the people to do it on their own. I always wondered why when someone goes to court and they're convicted of a crime, they get sent to prison. Then you go to prison and we treat it like a prison. But many of these people, they simply had bad childhoods, or they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Why aren't we putting them through some type of educational reform programs? Why aren't we taking the social welfare program money and actually utilizing it to change the lower level of our society, the ones that actually produce the criminality? This is what Japan does. This is what a lot of European nations do. Why aren't we spending money to reform these people who were neglected in a failed system? Just a thought. NATO crises. That's right, Marco Rubio. Let's lead. Marco Rubio does not like NATO.
Emergency operation in a time of conflict, in a time of need that we just have had. So when you have countries in this alliance, because understand, at the end of the day, we are providing basically the defense backbone of an entire continent of rich countries. These are not poor countries. These are rich countries. And the utility of NATO for us is that it provides these basing rights. Now we are living in a world in which some of these countries, I point to Spain as an example, openly brag about how they've denied us the use of these bases. And so if the core rationale for us being in NATO, if what we get out of NATO is the ability to use bases, and then we have members of that alliance that are basically denying the use of those bases in a contingency, it calls into question the entire thing.
Forgive me, I have one more question.
He's spot on right. If we're in an alliance with a group of nations and we have bases there, and that's one of the perks of why we give them, $5 billion or $50 billion a year, and then we go into conflict, they don't want to join us and they don't let us use the bases. What's the point of NATO? NATO is nothing more than a Cold War relic and needs to be ended. Now, Marco Rubio on Cuba, I'm not going to play the clip, but he says Cuba is actually not controlled by the government. Cuba is controlled by a military holding company named Geisha. Geisha owns virtually everything, and not a penny of that money translates over to the public treasury. More confirmation on what was being said by CIA and various other whistleblowers that were with General Flynn that brought about the idea prior to the 2024 election that it was going to be stolen of that information, because this is what a lot of them were actually talking about. If you remember, Lara Logan and stuff like that interviewed these people. This is exactly what they were saying, and now this is coming out through the State Department. Oh, this is a good clip. It's 4 minutes long, but we're not going to get into the whole clip, but I want you to listen to a little bit of it. I agree. NATO is bullshit like the UN.
Bad history, first of all. It's terrible history. What I call the Thucydides trap is if you try to see the world through those eyes, you're going to be misled every direction.
Tell me about that. That's important. Tell me about that. Why?
Well, it's the whole idea that somehow that major conflicts arise because of declining powers versus, quote, rising powers. And that's not true. Wars come about through a whole range of situations and a whole range of conflicts. And even I think, my own belief is that to try and understand the rivalry between Athens and Sparta in terms of rising versus declining powers is completely misleading. It doesn't lead you to any kind of understanding of ancient Greek history, let alone of how history takes place, falls out elsewhere. If anything of what President Xi said about rising and declining powers, it applies. The declining power right now is China. Their economy is in serious, sad shape.
So you got to remember, this goes back to the Trilipalladius,
their role,
the Trilipalladius doctrine that Xi basically read on Trump's visit, stating that Athens is about to fall or Sparta is about to fall. All of Athens and Sparta, right? China's Athens, United States is Sparta. What he's saying is actually that's not true. Arthur Herman, U.S. historian, is saying that it's actually the opposite. That China is the declining nation. And he's right. He's right because we have Trump. Trump is the one that set this up so that China declines. He's dismantled the Belt and Roads Initiative, massive amounts of ports, the strategic value of the Panama Canal, the strategic positioning that China had within Central and South America, the rare earth mineral deals and the roads and the buildings that they were putting billions of dollars to go out there and build out, that Trump dismantled, basically kicked them out of the Northern Hemisphere. He did the same thing in the Middle East in various different countries, India, Turkey, sorry, not India, Pakistan, Turkey, so forth. What's going on? Trump has dismantled the Belt and Roads Initiative, which was basically the foundation for the BRICS nations. You notice you don't hear too much about BRICS anymore. The reason is because China isn't doing so hot. China isn't doing so hot because Trump has waged economic warfare on China and is kicking their fucking ass. Oh, more China news. A whistleblower has leaked Stanford University's private foreign funding records to the Stanford Review, revealing millions of dollars in funding from China's state-linked entities and CCP donors. You remember at the beginning of the Trump administration, Trump was going after who? The universities, Ivy League, MIT, Stanford, Harvard, Yale. Why? This is why. I said it gets worse. Just wait till Congress begins looking into the professors who they sent to China. Maybe cross-reference them with national security, the NSF, National Science Foundation, Department of War, Department of Energy, DARPA grants. And you'll start to see what's really going on. China has owned Ivy League universities for a very, very long time. This is something that I broke, 5-6 years ago when I was talking about Hillary Clinton's emails. China has owned our universities and our professors. There was attempts back in 2012 to 2014 to take various different SAP level programs, USAP, WUSAPs, and SAP programs, and move them into the university heading. Then once they got them into the university, China would go in, take those professors, bring them over to China. One of them was Dr. Charles Lieber, who was then charged with tax evasion, and he ended up getting convicted of the charges. What did he do? He moved to fucking China and is now working on bio-nanotechnology in China for China. They bought and owned this guy, as they do with all of these professors. So my recommendation to any congressman or congresswoman or senator out there is investigate these universities. Start with Stanford. Cross-reference the professors that are going over to China for cross-educational exchange programs, the ones that China's given millions of dollars for, and see what grants they have. National Science Foundation, Department of Energy, the Department of War, DARPA, NGO, NRO, so forth. I bet you're going to be surprised because I guarantee you're going to get a lot of hits. Because that's how China advanced their military. 40 years in just 10 years. An email found in the Hillary Clinton Podesta emails exposes Soros's socialist agenda for America, which involves massive taxpayer-funded efforts through shady NGOs. I mean, this email explains it all because this is what happened. Concerning concentrating and controlling elections, ground operations, and redrawing district lines for state legislators and U.S. homes, controlling the narrative through the news and other media. The email found in the far left Sandler Foundation to Pizzagate John Podesta himself outlines the entire plan and meetings of over 100 billionaires and millionaires belonging to the shadowy philanthropic group. And you can find this on my X post if you guys wanted to use this for reference. And one part of this, I want to go, the plan being crafted in private by a group of about 100 donors that includes billionaire hedge fund manager George Soros and San Francisco venture capitalist Rob McKay, seeks to give Democrats a stronger hand in the redrawing of district lines for state legislators and the U.S. House. More specifically, the newspaper reports that keeping Democrat control of the Senate was a paramount concern to the donors. The new plan would shift significant resources away from the alliance's typical focus on donating to left-wing media outlets and think tanks, such as Media Matters for America and John Podesta's Founders Center for American Progress. The alliance will try to engage in ground-level political campaigning by, in effect, acting as a bundle super PAC and Uber super PAC in order to prevent expected GOP takeover of the Senate. Over time, it is leaked out that there are more than 100 billionaires and multimillionaires all belong to the shadowy philanthropic group. Now, that's interesting because one of the other things that we have is information pertaining to Hillary Clinton's Clinton Foundation. Did you know that Dominion Voting donated to the Clinton Foundation? Interesting, isn't it? Now, what are you seeing in that infrastructure? You're seeing 100 billionaires in what they called the alliance funding various NGOs and organizations, which then receive taxpayer dollar, which they then funnel that taxpayer dollar into allowing them to keep power and control. That is the fucking definition of a tyrant, of a globalist, of a ruler, of the deep state. Oh, we are so winning the midterms. That's why there is panic in DC, because we are going to win the midterms. All right, I gotta wet my whistle. Something like that, right? All right, a Michigan 2020 election worker has testified that 0 military ballots went to Trump, and all ballots were just for Biden, not even down ballot votes, just Biden. Voters were found with impossible date of birth. One was born in 1928, but registered to vote in 1900. 28 years before they were even born. Military ballots showed date of birth of 1/1/1900. Supervisors refused to explain why and blocked challenges. Dominion was sending in representatives all across the country to election precincts to wipe election data to cover up the stolen 2020 election. Tina Peters knew there was a fraud going on and exactly why she preserved the election logs before Dominion could come in and destroy it. She was punished for saving and exposing the evidence that was stolen from the 2020 election. Now, Tina Peters is out. You have DNI Tulsi Gabbard that is going to give a report on the election integrity and infrastructure and national security concerns. You're going to hear probably Serbia, Ukraine, China, UK, Japan will be involved in that. I think it's going to be more international about kind of like what we could have done better. But I think what it's going to do is prompt a national security. It's going to prompt Trump the ability to go out there and get a national emergency on election integrity and infrastructure, because it's going to lay out how this all happened and why it all happened. Now, right now, and this is a sign of the times, right? What is that Harry Styles song? Election interference in California. Ballots are being burned, drop boxes torched, and voter centers vandalized, but only in Republic-leaning areas near Los Angeles. So this is what the left has resorted to. Seriously, this is what the left has resorted to. Because they know they can't win this election. They are dead broke. They have no money. They don't even have a position or a platform. I mean, everything that Trump does is that he's evil and he's bad. He's a tyrant and he's going to be a king. And everything that he does is quite the opposite of that. It's going to be really, really interesting, but we are coming in for a reckoning. I can't wait for like the Act Blue indictments to drop like mid-July. Maybe write that one down. Act Blue indictments like mid-July, mid-August. Senator Ron Johnson is holding a hearing tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern Time. Plausible mechanisms of COVID-19 injection causing cancer and attacks on scientific publications and research. I think that's going to be very important. I think that that could be very, very interesting. The FBI released this today. 2 researchers with the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, were charged with conspiracy to smuggle monkeypox into the United States and giving false statements to federal law enforcement. A federal complaint alleges the researchers told Customs and Border Patrol their case contained diagnostic and testing equipment. However, an investigation by Customs and Border Patrol and FBI agents uncovered 113 virals, 18 of which have been verified to contain monkeypox as of today's date. These people are sick. I mean, that is like the epitome of the globalists. You know, you have Chinese freaking biolabs in the United States of America, and now you have members of the National Institutes of Health smuggling in monkeypox. What the hell's going on here? I got one more story to talk about. I got to do this real quick, and then we're going to jump into that story. I didn't realize the time. I want to share a quick story about a family supporting this channel. Their father had a rare form of cognitive decline due to his military service that made him unable to work. Their mother had to stop working too so she could care for him. Their sons discovered a new U.S. Library of Medicine studies on various mushroom blends that could significantly support cognitive function. So they began creating a complex mushroom supplement based on that research, not just to help their own family, but to help others. They nearly quit after multiple setbacks, having their first big batch stolen. Fast forward, they speak at medical conventions nationwide. Their company is called Emerald Med, and their product massively supports brain, immune, and blood and heart function. Your cognitive function optimizes everything you do. You can get knee, heart, and kidneys replaced, but you can't get a new brain. So investing the only brain you'll have for the rest of your life matters. If you want to support a company that supports our channel plus free speech with their marketing, then you'll want to try a strong mushroom supplement. They're running a New Year's deal. Just click the link below and use the code 30% off today. It's currently the most concentrated mushroom gummy in the U.S. It has up to 400 compounds and rich vitamins and minerals. With 6 formulas in one, it's getting 6 supplements for the price of one. You can click the link below or try Emerald Med's mushroom gummies at 30% off today. All right. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert stated the secret UFO files accessible only to Congress contain numerous references to stargates and portals. That's interesting. I hope those get released. I know that was the last thing, but I want you to understand that we had a Overwatch and the Guardian show a few weeks ago where I mentioned that stuff right there. It's going to come up. I'm telling you. Visit me at redpills.tv, redpills.tv, redpills.tv. Go visit us there and find ways to support us. We got all of our sponsors over there and tons of ways to support us over there. Tomorrow, the live Q&A. I'm heading on over to DEF CON 0. That is over on Badlands Media. So if you're on Rumble or YouTube or X, you can find that at Badlands Media TV. And just search for that. And then DEF CON will be here in about 20 minutes from now. So I got to wrap this up because this is a 5-minute outro and I got a few other things to take care of. So guys, I appreciate you. There's absolute panic in DC. The Democrats are shitting their pants. Bill Pulte coming in. They know that's just nothing more than leverage for Donald Trump. They understand that they're about to lose the midterms. And so I think that we could be on the verge of all shit breaking loose because it's going to hit the proverbial fan. So much love, respect, guys. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. I'll see you in just a little while if you're going to DEF CON. If not, we'll see you next time. Good night.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a last prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time. There was a time. Now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"